Hydra, and this is Kira's Art Journey. So, today on my daily drawing vlog, which is number 10. So, today on my vlog, I am going to be doing hand studies. Yes, I'm going to do a 30-minute session, which start off as like rapid screening going back and forth. And so let me get right to it. While I'm doing this, I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna let the podcast talk. I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff lately with promoting and everything. I'm helping a friend out with his comic, Blue Universe. I will put a link below so you can check that out. Blue Universe is awesome. I mean, like you get emotionally attached to the character once you find out what it's all about. So check that out, and I'll put a link below for you can. So please click the link. Click the link. So okay, this thing here, this website that I'm using to do my hand practice is called Line of Action. Line of Action, you can do any kind of study, not any kind of study, but you can do quite fundamental type studies like hand and feet. You got figure studies, animals, and face and expressions. And they also have a gallery of photos you can click on. I think it's down here. Nope, I think it's on the beginning screen. You can click on and forms and stuff that can help you out. So when you have time, go and click on that and check it out. So I'm going to do class mode. Class mode give you how long the sessions you want to do. All the same lengths, just give you like 2 minutes or whatnot, and then skip on next to the other 2 minutes and skip on to the next 2 minutes or whatnot. But this class mode, you have to be quick. So you'd be like, you're gonna do 30 minutes. And we're gonna get started. I'm gonna start the podcast. This podcast is by Comments Launch. I'm trying to learn the market business side. Being a creative is very fun, but you also have to be business savvy with it. So I'm trying to dip my hands in both. So let me start this and play.
Who is Kickstarter for anyway? You are listening to Comics Launch, crowdfunding comic books and graphic novels on Kickstarter and beyond. This is a show all about harnessing the power of the Kickstarter platform to fund your projects, energize and expand your fan base, and elevate your career to the next level. I'm your host, Tyler James, a writer, artist, game designer, and publisher who has successfully managed 7 Kickstarter projects that have collectively raised more than $160,000 in funding. Each week, we'll talk about the mindset, strategies, and tactics that work for creators on Kickstarter. If you are getting ready to launch, you're in the right place. Comics Launch Session 7. Is Kickstarter for you? Who should and shouldn't be using crowdfunding to launch their comics projects? Today's session is sponsored by Oxymoron The Loveliest Nightmare, a new crime thriller miniseries from Comics Tribe in comic shops worldwide in August. All right, everybody, welcome to the 7th session of Comics Launch. We have a special one for you today. This is Tyler James, your host. And you guys have been with me for 7 episodes, 8 if you count the 0 episode, but this is the first time I'm actually joined by a guest. I actually have a special guest, a co-host today, and this co-host is sort of the man behind the curtain of Comics Launch. This isn't something that I'm working on all by myself. I actually have a lot of help in preparing the shows, what we're going to be talking about, some of the background materials, some of the Comics Launcher stuff, some of the extra bonus content downloads, all kinds of stuff. This guy is a comics creator, he's a Kickstarter user of the past, and he's got the heart of a educator, which is something that sort of attracted me to some of the work that he's been putting out, some of the information and other stuff that he's been putting out online. So welcome to Comics Launch, your first episode here. Jeremy Malone, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, thank you. That was the best introduction I've ever gotten. I'm going to have you follow me around everywhere just so you can introduce me to people because I like the sound of that.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the comics thing, I would be a hype man at rap shows.
I'd buy it.
I'd
definitely buy it.
Is there anything else you want to add to let the Comics Launch audience who may be new to you and what you're all about? Anything you want to add to that, or did I do just a spectacular job that you're done and ready to take that to your episode?
Well, I think you did a spectacular job, but regardless, I'm not going to pass up an opportunity to talk about myself a little bit. I'm Jeremy Lowell. I write about the comic industry and how creators can make an independent living, and I'm really stoked about this podcast and how it's been going so far. I think Tyler's been doing an awesome job, taking the reins on this and kind of pushing everything forward up front with the podcast and talking to you guys. It seems like people who listen have been really enjoying the show. And I think we're both just trying to do the best we can to help creators make their way in the comic industry. And we kind of come from two kind of separate places. You more as a publisher, me more just independently, I guess, looking at the industry. And now it's really cool to come together to work on Comics Launch together.
Yeah, and we've got a lot cooking and a lot in the pipeline. I gotta be honest. I sort of brought you in here for this topic because I think it's a bit of a controversial one. It's the topic that we're going to be talking about today is sort of really who is Kickstarter for anyway. I think that's something that has sort of evolved and changed over time, and people's perceptions towards it have changed sort of as the platform has grown and become more popular. And I see a lot of vitriol sometimes when a certain high-profile celebrity or creator launches a project, or someone launches a project and tries to use it in certain ways and not others, and there's sort of a big perception of that Kickstarter is supposed to be done this way or that way. So we're really going to get into this. I know I have strong feelings about this. I know you have strong feelings about this. But where do you want to get started with this conversation, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're definitely right that this is just a topic that's always been around the Kickstarter conversation. And I was thinking maybe an interesting point to start would be to talk about how Kickstarter started. I know you and I have both been on the platform for a while, paying attention to it for even longer. And maybe if we start with where Kickstarter kind of began and then take that further to see how that conversation evolved, it'll allow us to touch on a lot of the different dynamics and I think get the most thorough conversation possible because there are so many different people, different types of projects, even within the comics category on Kickstarter now, that there's a lot to cover. And taking this chronological approach, I think is going to be the best way through it all.
Sounds like a great plan. And I know, even for me, who's spent a lot of time thinking about Kickstarter, it was very interesting for me to look back at my own Kickstarter history that I talked about a few episodes ago, where I realized, wow, the first 4 Kickstarter projects I backed were all things that weren't successful, and now I think just about every Kickstarter project I end up backing ends up going on and becoming successful. So it has come off. But in your sort of looking back at the history, where did you see things really starting?
Yeah, I mean, what it seemed like was specifically within comics, we started mainly on Kickstarter seeing, I think, webcomics and small creators come on as some of the first really projects on there. I'm talking about indie creators who were raising, less than $10,000 to put together just a single issue, one shot, and the rewards were all pretty kind of basic and together at that time. It was a pretty simple premise for every Kickstarter. I've got this webcomic online, I want to print it, and usually those two were really small projects. I mean, I'm talking under 50K, under 40K. They're just the kind of things where you're really dealing with people just trying to get that one project together as opposed to now where Kickstarters have become much larger.
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing some of these guys come up, and some of them would sort of were newer creators or creators that I had just become aware of their work, and throwing up a $3,000 goal for their comics seemed ridiculous to me, simply because I had been toiling at this thing for 3-4 years, 5 years seriously at the time that I first really became aware of Kickstarter, and the thought of on an indie from an indie platform being able to raise $3,000 in a month for something that's not even done, it baffled the mind. And obviously I've changed my tune on that. But yeah, you did see a lot of that. You saw sort of the indie, hey, help me make this project happen. Also saw a lot of people having to sort of explain what Kickstarter was to the masses, and a lot of it was, I think, a big part of the reason why some of those early Kickstarter projects that I backed and failing was just because a lot of the best practices on the Kickstarter platform weren't sort of created just yet. But that's definitely where I first sort of became aware of the platform was from creators of the indie mind.
Yeah, and I mean, I was one of those, I guess, baffling creators. I came on, I funded my project in 2011, and I raised $3,200 to do a single issue comic project. It was the first comic I'd ever written. I'd been, just working on it for about 6 months or so, just started getting into writing comics, moving from other mediums, and I found it really interesting. I didn't know any better. I didn't know anyone in the comic industry at that point, and I just said, hey, look, there's this place where you can put up a project and maybe get money if it looks promising enough. So I put together, our basic pitch package almost, and put it up online on Kickstarter, made a video with some friends, and just from friends and family and random people browsing on the platform, I raised $3,200 to make my first one shot, and that's kind of what got the ball rolling and led to me being here now. So I think it was just a lot of creators, I guess, not to put myself in it too much, but that were in my situation, just either did not know any better or felt there was no risk in experimenting, nothing to lose, and just started putting up their projects there because they had really no other way, or sometimes no even concept of how to get going without it.
Right. And, I think actually creators like yourself who, as you said, didn't know better, actually had an advantage a little bit with Kickstarter. I remember back in that 2011, 2012 time, there were a lot of creators that I knew that were in the webcomic space that wouldn't do Kickstarter, didn't do Kickstarter because they're like, why would I pay Kickstarter 10% to put up essentially a sales page? I know the web. I can do that myself on my own webcomic. I know how to put up a web page. I know how to take money. I haven't been taking that much money, or I haven't been raising that much. And they sort of didn't understand all of the sort of, and I talked about this in an earlier episode about just all the social triggers that are available on Kickstarter that are at work making that platform just great for fundraising. So they didn't quite get all that, but I think the webcomics, both the small creators, the sort of newer creators, were very good to embrace it. So yeah, that was definitely so. I think from early on, and because of that, there's sort of the legacy that may have flavored who Kickstarter was for, such that some of the folks that came on board afterwards did get some of the guff or the hey, wait a minute, is this Kickstarter for you instead? Where do you see the evolving of Kickstarter? After we're talking about webcomics and small creators.
Right. Well, I think what started to happen, and this was really all part of this phase of the people who were doing the legwork, getting people on the platform. You've got to think that for a lot of the projects that were coming out as this evolution was happening, the backers they were recruiting, they were often backing their first Kickstarter project in here. So they had to overcome all that, and when people were flocking to the platform and projects like, I think for me, the anthology, the Womanthology anthology project that launched in July 2011, that was the first significant project that was kind of starting to near the end of this wave of people who put together this change, this kind of last wave that I was a part of, not the first people on the platform. But this is where the potential really started to show itself, because Womanthology was the first comic project to raise over $100,000.
Yeah, and I remember that one. That was Renee Delee's led project, and that was the first one that I thought really got massive mainstream comic media coverage. Comic Book Resources, Comic Book Alliance, all of the smaller, more niche comic sites, they all covered that, and that one sort of had an early, just a lot of camaraderie, where you sort of saw that it wasn't just about producing a book; it was a bit of a movement and a statement, and then I think that showed the power of the community aspect of Kickstarter early on. It also ushered in, and I'm sure it wasn't the first anthology, but it was definitely the first one over 100K, but it ushered in what I really see as the golden age of the anthology thanks to Kickstarter. Now, anthologies aren't a great product in the direct market, but they just crush on Kickstarter.
Yeah, and that's such a great example of, I think, the who is Kickstarter for discussion and potential answers, because an anthology you would have such a hard time getting that sold traditionally, like you mentioned, whereas on Kickstarter, it's actually a perfect champion of this kind of first era of Kickstarter creators, because it's all these smaller, lesser-known creators that aren't as established in the direct market coming together to create something together, and then getting it funded by the public in an effect that's totally multiplied by the number of creators who have banded together to make this happen. And it's the kind of project that wouldn't be possible, like so many others, without Kickstarter.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I got started. The Oxymoron anthology was my first Kickstarter project, and as I sort of talked about it before, big reason for that was, I wanted to advantage as I possibly could and tap in not just to my existing audience, but the existing audience of the 20 other creators that were a part of it.
Womanthology was July 2011. My project, like we talked about a little bit, was December 2011. And going into that, as I funded my project and the new year turned to 2012, you really saw the change on the Kickstarter platform with the first $1 million comic. So you've got to think that 6 months later, we went from a 100K comic project to a $1 million comic project, which is essentially the point where people were shown, no, a lot of stuff is possible on Kickstarter. It was one of the biggest webcomics to come to the platform. I'm talking about the Order of Stick reprint drive.
Yeah, and this one, I think, absolutely blew a lot of people's minds. And while Womanthology made a big dent, you could say that they also had, I think they had IDW sort of on board as their partner, and had a lot of big name creators a part of it. I think Gail Simone was in there, and just a number of big names in addition to all the indie work. But the Order of the Stick webcomic reprint drive, so yeah, it wasn't even for something brand new. It was a reprint of an existing webcomic that had been around for 10 years, raising well over $1 million for a stick figure webcomic. And now, to be completely fair, it's a very well done stick figure webcomic and very targeted to a big audience of fantasy and D&D players. I believe I'm not a reader myself, but I did look into that because 7 figures starts making you pay attention. But yeah, I think that definitely got a lot of eyeballs going, and a lot of existing creators may think, maybe I'm doing something wrong if this guy is going to do that. I mean, what were your thoughts when you saw that thing roll? Because I mean, I can remember when that campaign was going on, I was like, just watching the page, and every you didn't even have to hit refresh. It was just tricking up.
Yeah, I could not believe it. I mean, to go from 100K in July to over 1 million on the platform in January of the following year is insane. It was a crazy, huge jump. And yes, obviously it's for a reprint, which means they were already selling their printed copies on their site. And then Kickstarter, they'd seen a little bit of people coming on the platform, other webcomics, and they figured, hey, we can do the same thing too. And they put their comic on there to reprint books that they, I assume, went out of stock with just from selling, and their audience totally responded. And it showed the power of what you can do on Kickstarter with an existing loyal audience when your comic is good and appreciated by people. Getting over $1 million definitely got everybody's attention and really set the tone for what I consider the really first big year of Kickstarter in comics, which was 2012.
Oh yeah, and 2012 was a huge year for comics just in general, with that DC's relaunch and just everything else that was going on. But yeah, I mean, Kickstarter was definitely the big story that year in a lot of ways, and yeah, I mean, crossing the $1 million mark in a single project, and that was just one thing. But yeah, big year for them, and I think the entire comic book creators industry. I saw a big jump that year from awareness of Kickstarter, and I don't think it's that awareness is gone down at all since.
No, I mean, it definitely hasn't. The larger webcomics kind of opened the door for more larger established creators to come onto the platform, and some of those who were maybe, I guess, lesser known were also then able to, I guess, become more bullish on the Kickstarter platform and start putting more projects out there, and have created these really enduring avenues for them to finance their projects and reach their audience.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a number of them you can point to. Jimmy Palmiotti definitely is someone that comes to mind. And
Absolutely,
he's someone who it's funny because I think one misconception is that people think, oh well, it's all or nothing. I don't want to be a Kickstarter creator. I want to be a real deal creator. Well, if you look at the career trajectory of Jimmy Palmiotti, he's managed to both be one of the most successful creators on Kickstarter. At the same time, he's become one of the top creators for DC Comics. His Harley Quinn series sells a ton over there. Punched way outside its weight class or whatever anyone thought would do. And Jimmy's been just sort of a stalwart over at DC, while still continuing to push the envelope in terms of his own creator-owned projects on Kickstarter.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And if you take a look at what he's done with Paper Films, where it's really not just him, but it's also his collaborators like Amanda Connor and Justin Gray. I apologize for anybody else that I'm forgetting, but he's really built a company, a collaborative kind of model for success just through the 8 projects that he's done so far. And there's no reason for I could see him stopping, because really when he's getting more success in the direct market and then more success independently, whenever I'm at a table at a convention, it's always packed and there's always a line.
Yeah, and we talked about just the success rate, having one successful project and how that can sort of have a chain reaction of over the line, and
right.
So with Jimmy, I think we've also seen him as a great example of a creator going back to the Kickstarter platform again and again, and actually building upon his early success in 2011. I think he did one project that raised $11K. He had two projects in 2012 and two in 2013, and averaged about $60,000 for that year. And then in 2014, he did about $145,000 over 3 projects. So definitely a big part of what he has going on.
Yeah, I mean, when I was pulling up those stats and looking through, it blew me away, because if you think about, he had 2 projects in 2012 that collectively did about $55,000. In 2014, it's like he did 3 times that with just 3 projects. It's a crazy huge jump. It just shows that he's been able to deliver a quality that his readers appreciate, and able to build that audience, sustain it by showing he's dependable on the platform, him and his collaborators, and year after year build on his success. And really, it's no surprise to me that when you see creators like this who have found enduring success, that you're going to find even established creators who some say have no reason to use Kickstarter because they're established in the direct market with the major companies, come to finance projects that wouldn't otherwise have a home.
Yeah, and so true. And the unfortunate thing is the shelf life of a creator at any one of the big comic book publishing companies can often be as long as the editor's reign who loves working with them. But it's a lot harder fired by thousands of backers by every single one of them than it is to be lose your job when you fall out of favor from just a handful of people at one of the bigger companies. So I think it's just a smart business move, even for the most successful creators out there. But as we also saw, it's not just creators like Jimmy that also have the DC gig that are coming back and having enduring success. Obviously, Comics Tribe has used it. Another example we were talking about was Fabian Rangel Jr., who's just a good example of someone who, he was a creator, he was doing the work, he was doing the small press thing, self-publishing, working with some of the smaller publishers out there, but really had a nice breakout in part to Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think he's a friend, full disclosure, and I think what he's managed to do on the platform is great. He definitely started in 2013, his first Kickstarter came out, and since then he's done 3 more, and just much lower scale than what Jimmy's done without the same direct market presence, but he's done it all this way, and now he's got Space Riders of Black Mask and an upcoming story in Dark Horse Presents. So it's really interesting to see it from these two perspectives of somebody like you said, Jimmy, who's got Harley Quinn, not a small deal, and Fabian, who's kind of worked his way through the comic industry up into it, all the while doing Kickstarter to essentially propel that forward.
Right. I mean, there's a reason that the ... and beyond exclamation.
That's right.
That's really it's important to focus on. It's not just about completing a successful Kickstarter project. It's not just about the funds that come in. Money's going to come in, money's going to go out. But the career that you build, the readers that you bring on board, the connections that you make, the seriousness at which other people in the industry take you and your work can all be propelled forward by success. And so another great example there. And then I think the transition then becomes, hey, you've got independent creators making five figures on the Kickstarter platform. Webcomic creators making 6 to 7 figures. So then I started seeing, and we all started seeing more and more established creators come to Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's right. I think for me, the projects that I remember were really Gail Simone's Leaving Megalopolis and Paul Jenkins' Fairy Quest. They're both projects that I think were really successful. Paul's Leaving was in April, and he's since done a second one, also able to sustain success on that platform. But there wasn't these names were large names. They weren't nobodies. Paul Jenkins, Fairy Quest did with Humberto Ramos, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but close. Okay. Well, yeah. I'm on Twitter at Jeremy for any complaints. I think for me it was really interesting to start to see the kind of, I don't want to say mass exodus, but maybe mass enthusiasm for a new way to get comics out there, coming from even the people who are at the top of their game relative to most of the creators who had been on the platform prior to that point.
Yeah, and one of the things that really interests me now all three, you mentioned 3 creators, all 3 of those projects were very, very successful. But it was interesting because I was also seeing at that same time some of the bigger webcomics folks come back for their second or third Kickstarters, and seeing some other and just the difference between how the penny arcades of the world, or the Girl Geniuses, or the Tomorrow Girl creator, Dresden Kodak, that Kickstarter, they're doing 5 times and sometimes more what these big name mainstream creators are doing. And one of the things that really called out to me is the fact that when you're a webcomic creator and you built a large audience, that audience could be smaller than the audience that Gail Simone gets by with all her DC or Marvel work, the awareness there. But the difference is that's that webcomic creator's audience, and they have a direct connection to them. And when it's time to rally those troops, they can do that. Whereas, yes, Gail's great on Twitter, and she does blogging and things like that. And so I'm not saying they weren't starting with absolutely nothing. But when a lot of their work has sort of come through that mediator of a large publisher, you do wonder, how big are their email lists compared to what some savvy webcomic creators who have been selling, T-shirts and prints and things for years to a large fan base, and then when it's time to go big on a Kickstarter campaign, they can get to them directly. I just think it's interesting. And then the other thing that I'm sort of interested in, and I always follow up on when I see big name creators that have had direct market success come to Kickstarter, is I want to see how well they can fill it, because in some ways, it's probably been a while since Gail Simone had to go and make sure that her book got printed properly and distributed and filmed and all that. And so I know a lot of these folks end up doing and working with publishers and outsourcing and all that. And that's definitely smart. But I always do like to see what happens when they have to roll up their sleeves and do the DIY thing like the rest of us. And I do know that there are some big name creators who have done Kickstarters that I'm still waiting on my rewards for, and it's been 2 years and counting. So.
Right. Well, I mean, the web creators definitely have the home field advantage there because they're used to that independent fulfillment, and I think that's a really great and funny point because it's true. A lot of the more established creators, they're used to really the creative aspect of the work, and a lot of the production. I'm not saying in every case, but in a lot of cases, the kind of finer elements of even production or the fulfillment and distribution afterward can be really difficult. And I think that's where we get some of the horror stories that have happened, where creators have just been out of their depths at all scales. Larger creators, newer creators, just not being as well versed or well equipped to handle the business side of the equation, whether it's shipping, fulfillment, like stretch goals where you increase the size or weight of the project, and then it throws all your numbers off after that. It's definitely, I think, an interesting part of the conversation of who is Kickstarter for, because to a degree, if backers aren't getting the rewards that they've been promised in exchange for their money and for their support, then you might ask whether the creators that are able to do Kickstarter, the creators that Kickstarter is for, are really those that are equipped or able to equip themselves to handle that other half of the arrangement, the business, shipping, and fulfillment, and not beyond the actual production of the comic.
Yeah. And hey, it's we all put our pants on one leg at a time, right?
That's right. That's true. It's definitely an in-time kind of thing, but now I think a lot of people are fortunate that we have so many Kickstarters to look back on and to learn from. Right. If we had started Comics Launch 3 years ago in 2012, I think we would have had a completely different experience because a lot of what we were going to try to talk about that we're talking about now at that point was not established. It would have been a lot of theory, a lot of responding to the huge projects as they came. But now, with so much to look back on, I think there's just so much data out there, and so much information, so many examples of projects that work and don't work, that we're able to actually put together a show or resource like this to help creators, raise the success rate of comics on Kickstarter.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that Kickstarter decided and made an early decision, kept to it, to keep every project that's ever been on the platform accessible, live, and there as a historical record of the platform. I mean, they didn't have to do that. I'm sure that they could save some server space by wiping all those videos and all those, and I'm sure it's not, it's not free to maintain all that. But by doing that, they've really let us learn from it and draw lessons and go back and tell the story of Kickstarter and what works and what doesn't. So that's a great thing.
That's a really great point.
And so I think naturally, with all the money being raised on it, now closing in on close to $40 million in Kickstarter funding, it was only a matter of time before even the biggest, or at least top 5 publishers started looking at Kickstarter. And I think that's where we started to see a lot of potential pushback or just folks questioning, whether a publisher should be using crowdfunding at all, or whether what that would mean for cutting out retailers and all that. So when publishers, what publisher really caught your attention coming on the platform?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to think about this contextually because when you look at the idea that in 2012, January, we had the $1 million comic, and then you think that by July 18th, so July of that year, only 6 months later, we had Top Cow's Cyberforce Returns come on. And so they're the one that immediately come to mind. I feel like it was the first major publisher on the platform, but I'm not 100% sure of that. But to come so early in July, only 6 months into the year, this entire progress that we were talking about with the smaller creators kind of took place from 2010 to 2012. And then in the span of 6 months, we went from these massive webcomics to these massive publishers like Top Cow all coming, and there was definitely a lot of controversy surrounding this Kickstarter project specifically.
Yeah, and the other show that I'm on, the Final Issue podcast, actually, there's 2 episodes episodes there early on in our run, where we talked to Tim Hawkins of Top Cow and who sort of runs Top Cow. I was sort of of a number of minds when I saw that, and the Top Cow Kickstarter for Cyberforce Returns is interesting to look at because they were really trying to do something pretty ambitious in that they were trying to fund a giant hardcover, but also fund give a sort of free to retail or a book that would be free to consumers going through retail. The retailers would pay the sort of free comic book day prices and then give away for free, and in exchange for some ability to get some variants. It was a very complicated sort of deal that Matt tried to pull together. The book itself and the hardcover itself that ended up coming from it actually was gorgeous, and they ended up delivering on it.
Okay, class finish, and this is what I got. So far, right.
And my dad gave me a tip. You heard me?
I'm trying to, let you know you can actually see this. Can I just turn it to the side? Yeah, there we go.
What time is it?
Alrighty. So this is what I came up with, and excuse me, sorry, but this is what I came up with, and not came up with, but my study digitally. I have to say that some of them are pretty good twisted, I guess, better than what I was doing in the past, So, I hope you enjoyed this session, and I think I will be doing more study sessions for my daily vlog as as time goes on. So I'm going to leave it here and say keep going, keep drawing, and see you next time. Bye.